My top tips for happiness: be yourself, regardless. Be kind. Show empathy and compassion. I could probably say a lot more things, but I think that's pretty simple to do. I'm all into simple things. You know, it stops me having to think too much. I don't like to think too much, except when I'm doing science. But that's kind of cool. I would say that.
Happiness should be really the thing that most people completely pursue. It needs to be the number one thing on your list of the day, because normally we create a list of jobs that we've got to do, and that job list becomes like an endless conveyor belt of things that we need to achieve and accomplish, and we're constantly taking stuff off the conveyor belt, expecting that at some point in time the conveyor belt will just have nothing on it, and at that point in time we can be happy. And that just never really happens, because we tend to invent most of the stuff that goes on the conveyor belt, especially personal issues. I'll be happy when I've resolved this thing about myself that I don't like, or I've resolved that issue in my life, or I've changed this job, or I've done this thing, or I've got this partner, or this house, or even this car. You know, I'll be happy then. And the truth is, it doesn't come from that. So often, when we stop waiting for happiness, we become happy. When we actually leave all of that stuff behind and stop resolving the problems kind of go away, because the problems are only created by not being happy and by being dissatisfied. So if you prioritize happiness, you pretty much solve all your problems at the same time. Bonus.
Tips for happiness would be dream and do something about those dreams. And then this brings us back again into the equation of taking action, being busy. You know, I write these notes from the universe and have been doing so for about 12 years. 2,000 have been written. And a very prominent recurring theme could be summed up as, once again, taking action saves the day. Whether you're lonely or depressed, angry, restless, feeling lack, want abundance, feeling lonely, want friends, you know, do something, and that inevitably takes your mind off the lack. It puts your mind to where you're headed. It facilitates thoughts becoming things, and bottom line, it's fun, it's happy, it's, you know, somewhere to go, something to do.
I think the greatest tip that I can give anybody for happiness is stop being unhappy. Stop thinking the thoughts that make you unhappy. Stop demonstrating behaviors that don't bring you joy, and stop reproducing those same emotions that bring you to a lower denominator. And I think that when you give the body a break from the chemistry of all the emotions that are connected to the hormones of stress and unhappiness, that's the moment the body starts liberating energy. It starts breaking the addictions and the habituations of thoughts and actions. And the side effect of that is true happiness and true joy. I think a lot of people have been coerced and conditioned into believing that happiness comes from pleasure, buying things, consuming things, you know, going places. But you know, when the novelty wears off, that feeling of emptiness typically comes back. And so, I think when we start looking within, we start making our own personal changes, and we start overcoming ourselves. I think that when we're in the process of transformation, in really breaking through, I think when we start respecting ourselves enough to be able to make that change is when we begin to respect others. And I think the side effect of it is called wholeness or joy. And then you're no longer seduced by pleasure, as a matter of fact. The more whole you are, the less pleasure you need. And the more happy you are from within, when it's truly coming from within, then you no longer rely on anything outside of you. We can call that unconditional joy. And I think that intelligence that's giving us life can kind of find a crack and begin to leak out. And I think that that's our birthright. I think it's the natural state of being.
Top tip for happiness, I think, would be here, be now. You know, that's all there is. Be in this moment. We spend so much time focusing on what is, what could be, coming up, what happened, and not enough time in this moment. So that would be my simple top tip.
Oh, my tips for happiness. Focus on love. Everything, I think, follows from love. So be a better giver of love, be a better receiver of love. find out what does bring you alive, you know, what inspires you. I love finding out what inspires me and doing more of it. And sharing everything that I've learned with other people, that really makes me happy. That fulfills me more than anything, probably.
I actually believe that for us to really be happy, we have to value our life. We have to value ourselves. And unless and until that we can actually value ourselves, I say self-love, but a lot of people are not comfortable with that term, loving ourselves. But I actually do think it's really important to love yourself, because loving yourself means that you value yourself, and it means that you feel you're deserving and you're worthy. Because when you don't feel that you're worthy or deserving of good things, you push them away. When they come your way, you do it unconsciously without realizing it, because you don't think you deserve them and you don't think you're worthy. And it becomes much harder to allow people to do good things for you, and it becomes harder to receive when you don't believe you're worthy or deserving. So the first thing I tell people is to ask themselves whether they love and value themselves. And that's, to me, that's the most important thing.
My tips for happiness are getting back in touch with what you need in your life, what the resources are for you, what you need to top up your batteries, whether that for you is going out and playing, having fun, going to the seaside, going for a walk, getting back in nature, whatever it is, look after yourself and get what you need. I also think that it's a great idea sometimes to just stop fussing so much, and just that phrase, you know, let go and let God. Just sometimes just enough already. Let's just see what happens. I think by nature I'm a worrier, and I read this wonderful thing that I forget the author, unfortunately, but she said, actually make a date to worry. If something comes along that, you know, really stresses you, make a date in your diary. Say, I'll worry about that in 3 days, 4 days. You know, chances are by the time you get to that date, it will have passed, because everything does. And so I think that one of the really important tips for happiness is just try and have an attitude of chill. It'll be okay, and it probably will.
Top tips for happiness is such a difficult one for me now, because as somebody who really, really, really was unhappy, and who really, really is happy, moody sometimes, but happy, the best tip I was going to say the best tip I can give is that there's no tips for happiness, but that's mean, so I'm not going to say that. It's that when you settle down inside yourself, when you quiet down, you'll find that happiness is there waiting for you. It really is, I was speaking earlier and I used it's a mining operation, not a manufacturing one. It isn't something we have to create or find or go out and make happen. It's what's there when everything else settles down. And that was such a relief. And so that would be my top tip.
My tips for happiness are saying no more. We always hear about the word yes, and I think no is getting a bad reputation, and we need to change that. It's so important for us to create boundaries, to say no to what we don't want so we can say yes to what we do want.
My number one tip for happiness is to remember that nothing makes you happy. Once you've got that down, then you're in with a chance to be really, really happy. We've done so much research at the Happiness Project over the years. We've collated so much research as well. The Happiness Project is 20 years old this year. And we've looked at the research, and as far as I can tell, the key to happiness really is understanding that nothing in the world makes you happy. In fact, to ask the question, what makes me happy, that's going to set you off looking in all the wrong places right there. The world will not make you happy. It will encourage you to be happy. It offers encouragement, but it won't make you happy. That's your job. Until you choose happiness, the world will never be quite enough for you.
Just surrender to reality, because the truth is, underneath it all, we are really happy, and I think trying to be happy makes, again, we're trying to be happy by following these steps. If you just really surrender to what really is now, that is happy. That is our natural state. So I don't know that there's really lessons to getting happy. I suppose it's peeling away everything that has kept us from being happy is probably a better way to do it.
Don't try to be happy. Stop trying to be happy. The need to be happy is totally missing the point, because your mind is going to need justification to be happy. If you're trying to be happy, the mind becomes very active and it needs a reason why. And it's usually, I'm happy because. And true happiness appears to happen when you stop trying to be happy and you just bring your fullest attention to whatever you're doing in any given moment. And from there, you notice that you're happy, but you're not trying to be happy. See, trying to be happy creates this subtle separation between me and my happiness. But if I can let go of that need and come back into the present moment and learn to let this moment be enough as it is, give my fullest attention to whatever is happening right now, I notice I'm happy, and for me that is the most natural way to be.
Your tips for happiness, I have to smile at that because I'm happy 99.9% of the time, is actually to enjoy life, to literally enjoy everything, even sitting here speaking now, talking to you, even sitting on this couch, to literally enjoy every single thing. And again, we need help in that way. People need help spiritually in that way. They need to become conscious of allowing themselves to feel the love inside of them and allowing it to come forward and to feel that happiness and joy. It's like that smile. When somebody smiles at you, let it touch you in that way. Let that love touch you and let yourself feel the happiness and joy and go forward in life. I think people, they're not as happy the amount they should be, but they have the choice to be happy, to live in that moment. And it's like, live now, today, enjoy everything today. Don't be really thinking of tomorrow that much. As little as possible, just think of today, this moment.